A very hearty and warm welcome to this galaxy of principals, highly learned, scholarly, and adept administrators, all onto the platform, which is exclusively created with the mission of building a generation of learners. First and foremost, a note of warm welcome to Shri Tarun Kumar, Deputy Secretary, COE Patna, whose determination and collaborative competencies have brought us all together on the mission to make this 50-hour training for all teachers and principals see reality. A note of warm and hearty welcome to our very own Shri A.S. Gangwar sir, President of Dr. Radhakrishnan Sahodaya School Complex, Bokaro. His wisdom, loving encouragement, and leadership with sociability skills has made the Sahodaya of Bokaro surge ahead with great elan and enthusiasm. Welcome, sir. It is said the will to win is important, but the will to prepare for the winning is still more important and vital. Such is the determination and the will of our Father Shri Reggie Varghese, DTC Bokaro. It is his patient approach, meticulous planning, and his IT team, which has got this so beautifully implemented. Welcome, Father. A warm welcome to Sister Kamala Paul, Deputy DTC Bokaro, who has been ably supporting in the entire execution of the Sahodaya activities. And now I take some precious moments to bring to you our resource person, Madam Khyati Dwarkadas from GOPI BIRLA School, Memorial School, Mumbai. She has already taken a very wonderful, inspiring session the other day with us on school's mission and vision. That was very learning experience, a wonderful session. And before I leave the platform to her, let me tell you, she is a lady with a crowning glory of awards and honors. To name a few, Acharya Chanakya Shikshavid Samman, the Shiksha Ratan Award, the Global Leaders Educators Award, and so on and so forth. We are so privileged to have you, Madam, with us, who is an educator with more than 22 decades of learning, the experience of teaching learning. She's been establishing a wonderful rapport, personal relationship with students, which is why we call her as a nation builder, an iconic personality for all of us. Her extensive knowledge, such effective communication skills, so ably handling the technological expertise, which has been so visible. With all these things, I think this almost in the last 2 sessions, 2 years, she has conducted around 200 online sessions, which has covered more than 20,000 participants. It's a great privilege and honor, ma'am, to have a session with you. The second one, this part of the in-house training programs. We welcome you, and with a message. We are all born to learn, to grow, to excel, and with this small message, I leave the platform all to Madam. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so very much, Shailaja Jaikumar, ma'am. That was truly a very humbling message and a very humbling introduction. At the outset, I'd like to thank President Mr. Gangwar for this invite and the permission to take over 3 days of training, today being the 3rd day of training with these wonderful, brilliant principals of Radhakrishnan Sahodaya in Bokaro. And all the other officials of Bokaro Sahodaya, who've been so very kind and gentle, as well as very heartwarming in the welcome to the Radhakrishnan Sahodaya. So thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to all of you brilliant principals who've been here with me in the previous two sessions as well as today. I hope to see you even more interactive than before, because I now presume that a very good rapport would have been created in the previous trainings, and the trainer-trainee difference would be reduced. It's after all a learning experience at both our ends. So I look forward to sharing a brilliant learning experience at both ends with all of you. And before I begin, we need to thank Shri Tarun Kumar Sir, Deputy Secretary and Head, CBSE Center of Excellence, Patna. I do not know if he's joined us, but thank you, sir, for connecting us and bringing us together on this wonderful platform. Father Verghese, you've been connecting with me, so thank you very much. And of course, Gopal sir and Binay sir. I think without Binay sir and Gopal sir, the two technical people behind this, my technical glitch of getting onto Microsoft Teams would never get solved. So thank you to both of these wonderful gentlemen working behind the scenes. And let's start with a short prayer. I'd like to share a very short prayer with you. Tomorrow being, in particular, tomorrow being the Basant Panchami day. And many of us celebrate a variety of festivals on this particular day. So quickly, let us worship Goddess Saraswati, the mother of knowledge, the goddess of knowledge. So I think you're not yet able to see my screen, but let me check if you are now able to. Are you able to see the screen? Thank you very much for joining me for a very short prayer. As I mentioned, the prayer was in honor of Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, and we also celebrate Basant Panchami tomorrow. Why? For which reason this particular prayer was shared today. All right. So, with your kind permission, let us start with the presentation. I would like you to immediately go to mentimeter.com. So you will go to menti.com. I am sharing a code or the link in your chat. And there is a question for you at menti.com. So in the chat, I am leaving you with the link. So you can go to this particular link in menti.com and quickly leave your answers. At the same time, I'd love you to also, if you can't log in directly through the link, then you can go to menti.com. If you directly cannot log into the link, you may choose to use menti.com and use the code which is also given in the chat box. So you may choose to join this way as well. I have given you the second link. You can enter the menti.com and enter the code. The Menti code 1006 2896. 1006 2896. Enter this code at menti.com. You will still be able to answer the question. I don't see too many people having joined Menti. If you join Menti, you will be able to see a lot of things happening. It's only after some people write will I share my Menti screen with you. This is also one way of interaction. So if you go to Mentimeter or menti.com and use the code 10062896, you will be able to get the question. So Shiv Shankar Yadav sir, if you log into menti.com with the code or clicking on the link, you will definitely get the question. Yes, Uma Shankar sir, I'm happy you've joined us, but you will need to log into menti.com from the given link in the chat box. All right, so I presume people have now written something on my Menti screen. And I'm going to show you what my Menti screen look like. So when the question was, what do you mean by assessment? And you see the kind of answers you brilliant people have been giving. The answer that the maximum people have written is evaluation. Some have written appraisal, correction, check, checking, processing, ability judgment, analyzing, learning to unlearn, to judge, relearn, examine, inquire, understand, process, summative assessment, formative assessment, analyzing, understanding, learning, evaluation, judgment. You can see the words, and the words that have the maximum people writing have been highlighted in the center of the word cloud in bold. So I'll leave the Menti on. You may continue writing on Menti. I will be leaving it on for you. And you will be happy to note a lot of things on Menti. It's not asking for voting. It is asking you to fill the words, Shiv Shankar sir, just as I showed you on the screen. All right. So I shall now be moving straight on into the presentation. Now that we already have seen your idea on assessment, what is assessment? So assessment in education or educational assessment or educational evaluation is the systematic process of documenting and using empirical data on knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs to refine programs and improve student learning. This is the simplest definition of assessment in education. A systematic process of documenting and using empirical data on knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs to refine programs and improve student learning. So why do we need to use assessment in that case? It is used to determine what students have learned, the outcome, the way they learned the material, the process, the approach to learning before, during, or after the program or course. And you can assess students before instruction to get a baseline of what students know. For example, by administering a pretest. Or During instruction, assessment can be used to determine what students learn. So you can adjust your teaching if needed. After instruction, you can use assessment for two purposes. To determine if there has been a change in knowledge, the final exams can be used as your summative assessment. Now, what do we assess? We assess only two things, the quantitative outcomes and the qualitative outcomes. And how do we obtain assessment data? Assessment data can be obtained from directly examining student work to assess the achievement of learning outcomes, or can be based on data from which one can make inferences about learning. As a continuous process, assessment establishes measurable and clear student learning outcomes. The final purpose of assessment practices in education depends on the theoretical framework of the practitioners and researchers. Their assumptions and beliefs about the nature of the human mind, the origin of knowledge, and the process of learning. So when we go to look at the significance of assessment, it firstly provides data or information. It helps in analyzing and using this data. Information to confirm and improve teaching and learning. Produces evidence for students' learning. Enhances the learning outcomes. Plans improvement strategies, research, analysis. Categorization of assessment takes place in various forms. So you can see placement, formative, summative, and diagnostic assessment, objective and subjective assessment, referencing or criterion reference, normative reference, and ipsative or the forced choice assessment. We have the formal and the informal assessment and the internal and the external assessment. So this brings me back to you. The chat will always be there for you. How do we ensure the quality of assessment? You may choose to unmute, you may choose to raise your hand, or you may choose to use the chat box. The choice is absolutely yours. I'll repeat the question. How do we ensure the quality of assessment? You may choose to raise your hand. You may choose to directly unmute. Yes, Sister Kamla.
Yeah, ma'am, according to me, what I think, am I audible?
Absolutely, ma'am.
Okay, I think an assessment should be database, and when there is improvement after any assessment, then I believe it is it's a qualitative assessment, and that's what instantly I feel like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why not? So I can see Satyendra Kumar Ojaji saying it's continuous evaluation. I can see Shiv Shankar Yadav ji having raised his hand. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, I think as per the reflections of the students or the learners, if there is marginal gap, then we can be satisfied. Otherwise, some gap is more. It means some lacuna in the system or delivery system.
All right. So you mean to say we need to start bridging the gap using assessment
Yes, madam.
and make it more accurate. Wonderful.
Thank you, madam.
So is there anyone else who'd like to write in the chat or share or unmute? Alisa ma'am says it's a continuous improvement report. Wonderful. I thought principals rattle off assessment. Yes, Uma Shankar ji, I think it is. I am not sure. I don't see a hand raised.
Ma'am, the assessment will be continuous and comprehensive.
All right.
So that holistic development will be achieved. It should be continuous and comprehensive.
Okay, okay. And I see one more hand raised.
I think, ma'am, am I audible? It is the outcome of the learning.
Yes, but my question was, how do we ensure accuracy? How do we ensure accuracy of assessment?
Yes, Khyati ma'am.
Yes, who is this?
This
Deepali
is
ma'am.
Deepali.
Yes, ma'am. You know, my
we can-
problem is I can only see 2 alphabets on my screen and I can only see Anil Kumar Sinhaji. I'm not able to see all of you.
Yeah. Accuracy can be judged. First is by making rubrics, number one, and it should have a blueprint. And you know, in case of assessment, objective is the blueprint and the rubric, and outcome will be whether after correction the students have met that criteria or not.
All right. Nice one, ma'am. We'll come to that a little later in the session. But yes,
Right.
it is a nice way of ensuring accuracy. So I see Shanimol Joseph having raised.
Yeah, ma'am, I was telling about the outcome of learning and the accuracy in the outcome. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Okay. And Uma Shankar ji has also raised his hand and it's gone away now. So I believe he's done with his.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Khyati ma'am. Good evening and Jai
Ajay,
Hind
sir. Good evening.
to
Good
you and
evening, sir.
all my worthy educators and friends. I feel that assessment can be accurate when we are going to take into account the different components of periodic assessments, like it is subject enrichment, it is periodic, like it is, I would say that pen paper test, PPT, different 4 components are there. Apart from that, all the questions, the question patterns and examination specifications should also be taken into account to set uniformity in the system of monitoring examinations. Criteria, components of periodic assessment. For example, if children have been assessed for only 2 components of periodic assessment, then that won't be right. So we also need to see to that, and apart from the marks or the points allocated for different components of periodic assessment should also be the same and similar. Apart from that, it's very important that we also need to just set the parameters, the criteria, parameters of assessment. For example, we are going to test, I would say, for English essay or later writing, then what should be C, F, E, and L, content, fluency, accuracy, and all. Whether all the different parameters of assessing that have been in fact uniformly in fact taken into account and consideration. That is what I feel.
All right. I'd like to pause you here, sir. I will definitely come back to you during the session. I would take this opportunity to wholeheartedly welcome Shri Tarun Kumar, sir, Deputy Secretary and Head CBSE COE Patna. I think he has joined the session, as I can see in the attendee list. And if he could be having his video on, and maybe if he could be unmuted, it would be very good for all of us. Sir, you're on mute. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Very good evening to you.
गुड आफ्टरनून. हाँ, कैसे हैं मैडम आप? सब बढ़िया है?
बहुत बढ़िया है सर।
आज तीसरा दिन चल रहा है प्रिंसिपल ट्रेनिंग का। Is it
मेरी
third day?
और से तीसरा दिन। Today is my third day with them.
चलिए चलिए, गुड। I was going
Seventh
through
चल रहा है।
introduction. You are doing wonderful job, and I wish all the best to all principals, because they will have very good training from you, and
Thank you so much, sir.
they
It's
will
been
emerge
a
as
blessing.
leaders in their own sphere. So all the best. I am there with you. Thank you.
Thank you
God
so
bless you.
much, sir.
Good afternoon,
Thank you
Tarun
so
sir.
much for joining.
Tarun sir, good afternoon.
Good
Sir, AS
Good afternoon, good
President, RK Sahodaya School Complex.
अच्छा, सभी लोग हैं। चलिए, मेरी तरफ से सभी को शुभकामनाएं। मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा, सेशन किससे जाएगा, ठीक है। ऑल द बेस्ट, गुड ब्लेस यू।
Thank you.
थैंक यू, गॉड ब्लेस
Thank you,
यू।
sir.
Thank you, sir. With your permission, we'll continue with the session. So let us quickly, I can see one more probably hand raised. I think Uma Shankar sir only had raised his hand, and we'll come back to him a little later in the session. We'll go ahead. And yes, a request to all the participants who have enough network to have the videos on. It doesn't look good to really just see alphabets in front of me. So we were talking about accuracy of assessment, but there was one main thing that many of us forgot. And that was something that CBSE has taught us in the last 1 year. If you remember last year, we were making our own internal results without a board exam. And at that point in time, the CBSE told us about accuracy of assessment when we were tabulating the scores of the students of grade 10 and 12. And there were two main concepts the CBSE asked us to keep in mind: validity and reliability. So that is going to ensure the quality of our assessment. So what now is going to be the basis of validity? Validity of an assessment is the degree to which it measures what it is supposed to measure. It is not the same as reliability, which is the extent to which a measurement gives result. That are very, very consistent. So within a validity, the measurement does not always have to be similar as it does in reliability. So we will take on some examples. Uma Shankar sir did talk about one or two of them. 5 W's of assessment. We need to keep these 5 W's in mind when assessing. The who, the what, the why, the when, and the how. Why are we assessing? Assessment for learning, or is it assessment of learning? Are we planning to do a growth of the students, or are we planning to nurture their growth? It's like planting a tree. What should be assessed? As Deepali ma'am said, rubrics-based assessment. The cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor dimensions of assessment, which we see with Bloom's taxonomy, which is also part of today's session. How learning should be assessed. The individual versus group assessment. The formal versus informal assessment. Classroom versus non-classroom assessment. Written versus oral assessment. The classroom assessment and the online assessment. What should be there? How are you going to assess your students? When should assessment be done? Should it be in the beginning, in the middle, towards the end of a course? And who should be assessed? So let's deal with each of these very, very briefly with 30-second comments from those of you who would like to unmute. Speaker time will not be more than 30 seconds, please, because we need to accommodate maximum people. I would love to have the session participative rather than only myself talking. And since we are well aware that we have amazing, wise leaders amongst us, we should make use of the wisdom of the wise. So let's quickly head on. Feel free to raise your hands, the virtual hand, and try and keep the video on. So Shiv Shankar Yadav sir has already raised his hand, and my question to you, sir, is why to assess? Assessment for learning or assessment of learning?
Assessment for learning. To measure the learning outcomes, to observe the learning outcomes, it should be continuous. As per the short topic, as per the learning syllabus portion has been assigned for a student, it should be in bites. Otherwise, it takes time, rather too slow to attain the learning outcomes. It should be in bites, madam.
Okay. So thank you, sir. It was great from your side to have started with the answer. Anybody else who would like to directly unmute and talk?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Who's that? Who is that?
Yeah, Khyati, मैं उमा शंकर सिंह.
Yes,
Actually,
sir.
assessment for learning is meant for recording or measuring the learning gaps or learning needs, which can really give the children opportunities to enhance learning or just make up the gap. Assessment of learning is in fact a summative assessment, that is term in examination, that is assessment of learning, because when we assess for learning, then we don't have any choice to make corrections. In assessment for learning, we give an opportunity to the children to just make correction, rectifications, and to give them the feedback. That is what I understand by assessment for learning. Assessment for learning can be equated with that formative assessment which we used to have earlier in CCE system. Yes.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. So anyone else who would still like to share something? All right. So my next question to you all, my very next question to you now heads on to what should be assessed? Like Deepali ma'am said, rubric-based assessment, and the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor dimensions of assessment. So what should be assessed?
Knowledge,
Biswajit sir,
and
would you want to try? Biswajit sir, would you want to try?
Yeah, we should assess the level of learning. At this point, how much the person has achieved and how far he or she will go. So that will be that is the level of learning at that position.
Wonderful, wonderful. Shailaja ma'am, would you want to try? All right, not an issue, ma'am. So I can see Alisa ma'am saying assessment is a part of the learning process. Karuna ma'am is back today. Welcome. The reliability and validity aspect has been brought in by her. Mini ma'am says the ability to do something without a mistake.
Hello.
All right. Before participants unmute, I'd like you to raise your hand so I can ensure that everybody is getting a chance. I think Sujit Kumar sir is trying to unmute. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, I want to suggest 4 points. What should be
Okay.
assessed? The first one is mathematical communication. Second one is capacity to memorize without understanding, and capacity to listen to teachers. And next one is the attitude of not asking question even if the concept is not understood. This should be also assessed.
All right. So let me quickly move to the next aspect of the 5 Ws. So how should the learning be assessed? Individual, group, formal, informal, classroom, non-classroom, written, oral, online. How should it be assessed? Yes, Kamla sister.
Ma'am, according to my understanding, I would say when we say how we should assess, either I have to decide either through rating scale or questionnaire or some case studies or field work or different types. So how am I going to assess? So this is what I understand.
All right. Thank you, sister. And I can see some hands raised here. Yes, Shailaja ma'am has raised her hand. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you seem to be on mute. You're not audible.
We can have a multi.
Ma'am, your audio is having an issue. I'll come back to you. So in the meantime, Swati Priyanka ji has also raised her hand.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, according to me, students' learning can be assessed through various ways, which may include like quizzes, research projects, okay, and case study analysis. Essays also can be given. So there are various methods which we can use to assess students' learning.
So ultimately, you're all heading towards a formal classroom assessment, or are you heading towards online assessment also? Can you, do you think, Swati Priyanka ma'am, that you think you can take over these assessment strategies that you're talking about as online assessment strategies, or would you leave them in a physical offline classroom alone? Of course, anyone can answer.
Hello.
Okay, I can see. Yes, I can. I can.
Yeah.
Somebody had unmuted. Who is that? I don't know though.
Madam.
1 minute,
Yes,
Biswajit sir. Arun Kumar Jha ji has also raised a hand. I will move to Arun Kumar Jha sir.
Yes, madam. We can assess through online and offline, both the mode, and we can have concept maps, group discussion, group work, using rubrics, using classroom assessment, and so many methods we can create for the assessment. Not only in the classroom, but also in the cultural activity, through the games, through the IQ test. Different methods are for the assessment, not only written part. In the different ways we can assess students.
Yes. Biswajit sir, you've got something to share with us.
Okay, I add something. What Arun Kumar sir has told so many things, but beyond that, we can also role play, project, and also other activity in the defined way, in the map activity, lab activity for the science and the computer and language also is there, and assessment of speaking and learning. In many ways we can assess the child.
Absolutely, sir. Shailaja ma'am, I come back to you.
All the formative and summative. All the formative and
right.
summative.
Thank you, Biswajit sir. Shailaja ma'am, over to you.
Ma'am, I think it can also be done by the everyday life experiences. situational learning experiences, and the kind of interactions we have, even, I mean, the comprehensive evaluations. It can be a combination of both formal and informal, the assessments.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shailaja ma'am. So now we'll move.
Ma'am,
Bokaro,
can I speak?
30 seconds
Ma'am,
only.
I would like, only 10 seconds. Ma'am, I would like to only say and suggest that there should be peer assessment and self-assessment for self-directed learning. It is not there.
All
It has
right.
not been
Peer and self-assessment, which we also see with NEP coming in.
Yeah.
We see it with the NEP coming in. So not an issue, sir. Absolutely true. Congratulations. The next thing, the next question is, when should we assess? Should we assess in the beginning, in the middle, or towards the end of a course?
Ma'am,
It should be continuous.
It could be quarterly. It could be
quarterly.
Quarterly, half yearly, and also it has to go as a continuous process of assessment.
Absolutely. Karuna ma'am.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Yes,
good evening.
Coming to this question, when, I think as often as we can, because we have to first understand what is the student's level, what is the level of learning, and then build from there, and what is the progress. So we need to, as much as time permits, in multiple ways, we must assess, but at the same time also have some summative exams that help children to focus, without making it a very fearful exercise.
Thank you so much, Karuna ma'am. Thank you, Shailaja ma'am, for that in the chat. Satyendra Kumar Ojha sir has also raised his hand.
Good evening, ma'am, and I am fully agree with Karuna ma'am. I also think that we have to measure or assign every time, okay, in the beginning, at the middle, and at the completion, so that we can know the growth.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. So as we progress, I have one more question for you, and that is, who should be assessed? Whom are we trying to assess? All of us believe that we should have so many strategies that you've listed out in the assessment. We all believe that we should continuously assess, or as some of you said, we should assess regularly all the time. We should be assessing. So I see Karuna ma'am's hand raised. Who should be assessed?
So the easiest answer is to say that the student should be assessed. But I strongly, strongly believe that a teacher hasn't taught if a student hasn't learnt. So the teacher has to do self-assessment. And to that extent, I always value, on a report card, having class average as a more important marker than the class highest.
Absolutely, ma'am. And I also see Sister Kamla having raised her hand. I think assessment is very close to her heart. I see her open up today. Yes, Sister Kamla.
Yeah, ma'am, I do agree with Karuna ma'am. Students and teachers should be assessed. And I believe principal also should assess oneself and be assessed by the other workforce. And at times we have to also assess the satisfaction level of our parents. Satisfaction level also should be assessed.
Okay. So we begin with assessing the teacher and then assessing the students. So basically, we need to assess the objectives of teaching and then the learning outcomes. And there is a very famous comic strip that I use normally in many of my sessions when I talk about learning outcomes and objectives. It's like the teacher says she has taught Stripe how to whistle. But Stripe has not learned how to whistle. And the teacher says, I did not say the objective or the outcome would be Stripe will learn to whistle at the end of this session. At the end of this unit, I have taught Stripe how to whistle. So now we have to change the total perspective from teacher-based objective and outcomes to student-based, learner-centric, outcome-based learning. What are we trying to assess? Whom, why? The 5 W's play a very, very important role. So next, let us move ahead. Let me reshare my screen for you. What then are the challenges of assessment? Would you want to simply talk about the challenges of assessment? Would you want to talk about the challenges in this in the stages of assessment or during assessment?
Ma'am, one of the challenges could be validity of the assessment.
All right, one could be validity, one could be reliability.
Yes.
Time.
Equality of opportunities, as I see that. Yes, Biswajit sir.
Time is also a concern. And in the
Time
proper
is a
time,
concern. Absolutely. Time is a major concern. When will we complete our curriculum? When will we effectively transact the curriculum? And when will we keep on assessing? Absolutely. So let me share some of the challenges of assessment with you. And when we talk about the challenges, we have a few micro challenges listed out for you. One is going to be grading. Change in the exam pattern. Now, every few months, this exam pattern is changing. Term 1 was all MCQ based. Term 2 looks like a subjective offline exam. The teacher's assessment issue. Do the teachers know enough? Do they have enough knowledge? The lack of training. Technological issues. The cost of investment. You need high-speed internet. Varying policies of the government and of the CBSE. Every day there is a new thing, including now with the onset of the NEP, there is another thing coming up on assessment. Administration issues, social ethical issues, and like many of you said, the study pattern and testing, the bridging of the gap issues. So you have in mind a lot of these micro challenges that we face. And when we look at the way forward, we talk about giving meaningful feedback about student performance. We assess to enhance the learning outcomes. Proper recording and reporting of information concerning students should be done. The challenges highlighted should be considered and implemented for better practice. Assessment system for self-growth and confidence of students. 21st century assessment, and it is everybody's responsibility to take assessment forward. Today in the assessment pattern, if you give 515 to a student, to one student and not to the next, the one who's not got a perfect score is going to ask you and challenge you. Now as a teacher, you will be wondering why. So you need to be able to provide an adequate, meaningful feedback about student performance. Writing a good, very good, excellent on the student feedback does not make sense. The student needs to be told what he or she will do better to better his performance. Proper recording, reporting, documentation, and boost the confidence of the students. One assessment performance which may not be good is not the end of the world. Assessment is assessment for life. Every moment in life, we are being assessed. So it is not just judgment and evaluation, it is assessment for life. And it is everyone's responsibility to assess. Now, when we talk about transforming assessment for student development, we need to touch upon the NEP. And I will not go into the details of the NEP because I know as principals, all of you have the NEP on your desks and all of you have mastered the NEP by now. So I will not get into the NEP. So the aim of assessment in the culture of our schooling system will shift from one that is summative and primarily tests rote learning to what will the assessment now be? Memorization skills, more regular, more formative, competency-based, promotes learning and development for students, tests higher order skills, analysis, critical thinking, conceptual clarity. The primary purpose of assessment will indeed be for learning. It will help the teacher and the student and the entire schooling system continuously revise teaching learning processes to optimize learning and development for all students. This will be the underlying principle for assessment at all levels of education. Now, this is what I have only picked up from the NEP, just the aim. Now, when we talk of assessment, this is something I would love you to take a screenshot of if you wish to keep it with you. The intended learning outcomes of the curriculum are formulated first. From these, the assessment criteria are developed. And the assessment regime is formed. Once an appropriate assessment regime has been designed, activities are organized that will teach the student how to meet the assessment criteria and hence the outcomes. And teaching and learning activities are then mapped. What the teacher does and what the students do are aimed at achieving the outcomes by meeting the assessment criteria. This takes advantage of the known tendency of students to learn what they think will be assessed and is called the backwash. This is the big theory. And then you take it back to the intended learning outcomes of the curriculum. Now, when we say backwash, you first see what your activities, teaching learning activities are, and map them to the intended learning outcomes. So you have your learning outcomes which are provided by CBSE and NCERT. You create your assessment regime and design your teaching learning activities. At the same time, map them back to the learning outcomes. So when you are looking at the learning outcomes, is your learning outcome effective? And there is a checklist for your learning outcomes. Is the learning outcome observable? Does it focus on specific and concrete actions, behaviors, or cognitive processes? Does the learning outcome utilize an effective action verb that targets the desired level of performance? Does the learning outcome specify how you would measure achievement of the learning outcome?
नहीं अपना वीडियो ऑफ है
I think somebody is unmuted. Thank you. Does the learning outcome specify how you would measure achievement of the learning outcome? Does it match the instructional activities and assessments? Does it specify appropriate conditions for performance? Is it written in a way that is easily understood by the student? So while we are talking of learning outcomes being effective, we need to understand that it's not any point in teaching or transacting the curriculum very effectively if the students are not aware of what they are going to be learning. So the learning outcome should be visibly displayed in the classroom by the subject teacher to the students. So the students know what they are learning and why, and what they need to focus on. It's only then that will you plan your assessment strategies. So this is what we were talking about. Plan the instructional activities. What learning experiences will I design to help the students achieve the intended learning outcomes? Design suitable assessment strategies. How will I know students have achieved those outcomes? Get the students on board with the learning outcomes. How will I share the learning outcomes with the students? Before I start the unit each day, I need to brief the students of the learning outcomes. Identify the desired learning outcomes. What knowledge, skills, habits, and of mind do I want the students to demonstrate? So you go identify the learning outcome, get the students on board with the learning outcomes, design the suitable assessment strategies, and plan your instructional activities accordingly. When you begin from identifying the learning outcome to informing the students on what they will be learning, then you design the suitable assessment strategy and plan the instructional activity. In the meantime, you have to keep in mind that verbs are important. Action words like design, create, diagnose, evaluate, extrapolate, predict. These make the most important words to be used. And when we spoke about interaction a few minutes ago, a little while ago, I also happened to see that there is some examples were shared, and Uma Shankarji spoke about testing the fluency, language, etc. in English. So if you were to talk about mathematics and fractions, you want students to learn fractions and to recognize the same, to recognize the frame and solve any problem that involves fractional relationships independently. So design the unit backwards from real problem-solving situations that you want students to be able to solve on their own. If you were talking about grammar, you want students to learn grammar. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, we can, ma'am.
Okay, just in case you think there is an issue, do let me know. So when you want students to learn grammar, you're designing grammar assessments. You want them to speak and write in any situation for maximum effect independently. So design the unit backwards from communication challenges, problems that you want students to be able to solve on their own. Now, these days, when we talk about assessments, this I will come to after I get some sharing from you all. You know, Are we happy and satisfied with the assessments we give our students? The interaction is open, so are we happy? Are we satisfied with the kind of assessments we give our students?
No, ma'am. Umashankar Singh.
We are not. So what makes us dissatisfied?
Ma'am, it
The
is not
designing of the
inclusive.
question, designing, no, actually, let me speak with your kind permission. Designing of the question paper, actually, whatever is tested, that whatever is taught, whatever the objective that is kept in mind to fulfill, the same objective should be there in the test also. Moreover, we need to just be very clear about the knowledge-based question, application-based questions, understanding-based question, evaluation-based question. So teachers has to make, I would say, specific and division, giving the allocations to the questions, whether they cover almost all the 6, learning levels, that is lower, higher, lower, lots and hots, that is lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. So accordingly, we also need to just, in fact, frame the questions and the syllabus also. What we are going to teach them, knowledge, application, understanding, the same thing should be tested also together. That is not happening in reality. Okay, there is a lopsided question.
Sir.
Yeah, lopsided questions. Yes. So teachers need to be trained for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. So Deepali ma'am had something to say. Yes, ma'am.
Khyati ma'am, there are 2 things which I would like to highlight on. One is inclusive. That becomes very difficult in a classroom. The pattern of assessment which we follow. If we go for the higher level, that means the one who are below average, they are not able to make it up. So it becomes very difficult that what kind of questions to be prepared so that it can be inclusive. So it is very difficult to assess. That is number 1. Number 2, the type of question paper which is given, administered in the promotional exam, that consists of 90% of remembering and understanding questions, and 5% is only HOTS. So our students are not able to apply the things, and as a result, when they pass out from the school, they are not employable. I mean to say, because there is a lacuna, the way we assess in the schools and the way they have to handle the situation at the workplace. So something needs to be done. Yeah, I can understand for a board like CBSE, I can understand they have the limitations. The limitations are when we are focusing on the promotion, because it becomes a matter of promotion. So we have to think of 90%, 50% of the population who have to be promoted rather than those 50 who can come up, who can deal with the competition. But we have to think of all the students. But in that race, what happens, what we are offering in the school and what is required in the workplace, there is a mismatch. So that is a very sad state. So we need to come to a consensus as an educational fraternity. Everybody, each one of us should take up the assessments in such a way that they can also, they can also adjust and adapt themselves to the working environment. They can be in that competition. नहीं तो पूरे बाहर हो जाते हैं. Competition से बाहर ही हो जाते हैं. So this is the very sorry state of affairs, which I feel because of the assessment pattern. That is what I feel. This is just my opinion and observation.
No, it's absolutely true. Very, very true, ma'am. So I don't see any more hands raised. Neither do I see much in the chat. All right, the chat has also not progressed much in the last few minutes. Okay. So let me then take you back to, I think people love me only to talk. They love my voice. So today there is not much participation. Or maybe you are having a hectic schedule of Sahodaya trainings for your in-house principals training principles. So you are tired of participating. So now this is something I found, in one of the shops. आसानी से बनाना सीखे बच्चों का holiday homework project. So this question came to my mind. Do we give holiday homework in the first place? Secondly, do we give it to the child or to the parent or to the shopkeeper? These projects are available for sale. You can simply tell the shopkeeper which topic have you been assigned for CBSE class 10, 12, 9, 8, 7, 6, 1, whatever the class, whatever the subject. If he does not have a ready-made project, he will take 2 days time and make a project and give you. And as educators, are we accepting this? Is this what we are assessing? We do believe in competency-based assessment. We talk about it. We talk about the shift from rote learning to higher order thinking. But when a child brings an assessment or a project in front of us, and we know it is not the child's work, do we return it or do we accept it? And trust me, 99% of the time, it is accepted, in spite of knowing it is not child's work. And why do we all accept it? Because it was given as your holiday homework. And at the home, it was collaboratively done, so-called with the family, and the shopkeeper was a part of the family. So he made the project and sold it. So this is not encouraging research skills in the students. There is no life skill research, interdisciplinary approach, or even a general reading of the concepts in the students. It is all happening in some professional who is creating it. And if you go to see the kind of effort they put on the project is exactly, though a professional approach, it is given to make it look like student work. So the teacher, unless the teacher knows for sure that this is not the student's handwriting, or the student is not capable of this kind of work, or the student is capable of better work than this, the teacher will accept it. It has also been observed in the last few years that a student may buy a ready-made project and rewrite it in his or her handwriting to make it look like student work. And all the photographs and images and illustrations are there in the ready-made project, which you can cut because you've bought the project. No copyright issues. You can cut and paste. Looks like very realistic. Hard work, research, pat on the back from the teacher. Bada acha bachcha hai. Teacher's pet from that day. So when we are designing our assessments, we need to design them in a way in which we judge the student's actual performance. So for this, of course, the CBSE has given us this wonderful opportunity in something that we call subject enrichment activities, as well as the multiple assessment strategies. So when we talk of multiple assessment strategies in the online mode, of course, it's very easy. You ask them in both cases to create videos with themselves performing the act. And you will then be able to judge whether it's the student at least performing the act or it's a ready-made act. Once again, the quality of research will definitely show whether it's student work or not. But at least you have some satisfaction that the student is performing in your presence. So when we talk about writing effective and measurable objectives, we normally follow the ABCD model. So when you look at the A, we talk about who the audience is going to be, who is performing the action. The learning objectives are always stated in terms of student outcomes. So at the end of the lesson, the student will be able to demonstrate something. And the learning objective is what the teachers write in the lesson plans. So following completion of the science program, the student should be able to plot a quadratic equation using a graphing calculator in 2 minutes or less. So these are your student-centered objectives. The behavior. What will the student be able to do? Use Bloom's taxonomy and an action verb that describe an accomplishment that is measurable. So following completion of the science program, the student should be able to plot a quadratic equation using a graphing calculator in less than 2 minutes. So we normally end up focusing on behavior. The condition, the C. Give the conditions under which the performance will occur. Be specific. Following completion of the science program, the student should be able to plot a quadratic equation using a graphing calculator in 2 minutes or less. So I have already highlighted the important words of the ABCD in the example for you. And D is the degree. Describe the minimum criteria for what is going to be acceptable student performance. Following completion of the science program, the student should be able to plot a quadratic equation using a graphing calculator in 2 minutes or less. That means if the student exceeds 2 minutes, it's not going to be acceptable. So more or less, we are also heading towards a rubric strategy. We are creating the ABCD model. We are writing effective and measurable objectives. We are also trying to target the audience, the students, and the behavior that is expected from the student. Now, when we also talk of the Bloom's taxonomy, we obviously are talking of the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So quickly in the chat box, if you could state the revised Bloom's taxonomy. All right, thank you to Karuna ma'am for what she has already written a few minutes ago. So the revised Bloom's taxonomy, if you could quickly list in the chat box.
It will be, can I speak, ma'am?
Okay, sir, quickly.
Oh, yeah, it is remembering, applying, evaluating, that is understanding, and that is synthesizing, evaluating. All are in present participles.
Okay, but if you realize in the current revised Bloom's taxonomy by Lauren Anderson, synthesis has been removed, evaluation has been brought down by 1 level, and a new verb creating has come up.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Thank you,
when we talk of this kind of Bloom's taxonomy, we have now moved one step further. We have in fact moved into a digital Bloom's taxonomy, which is more or less on the steps of the Bloom's taxonomy. But because we have started getting on into the digital world, people have used different digital modes and fitted them into the Bloom's taxonomy, from the lower order thinking skills to the higher order thinking skills. And while I see Alisa Munjani ma'am in the chat writing, portfolio is an excellent opportunity and a fruitful journey to see student assessment and student learning. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Back to you, Umar Shankar.
Khyati, ma'am, I would like to just point out one more very point which is pertinent. That Bloom's taxonomy is basically, in fact, connected or associated with cognitive domain that is related to head. Okay, whenever there's a time, the need for assessing the qualities of head, that intellectual qualities, that is cognitive domain. But effective domain and psychomotor domain, we haven't received till now any kind of, I would say, the model like Bloom's taxonomy. So that is all about the qualities which we need to, skills which we need to assess and evaluate based on the brain. That is only about intellectual. That is cognitive domain, isn't it? So do we have any kind of model?
It does deal with the other two domains as well, sir, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So time permitting, I will definitely try and show you the other domains. So right now, I will show you the lower order to the higher order, the skills of the cognitive domain, which we normally end up testing. And if you could take a screenshot, these are not only the Bloom's taxonomy, which moves from recall to create, the lower order to the higher order, but the verbs given in Bloom's taxonomy here help you. They are like command words. And with these command words, the student will automatically know what he or she is expected to do, and the teacher would know the order, the level of testing. And as a principal, when you are going through somebody's paper or the blueprint, even by looking, just a simple look at the questions, you will be able to immediately put the questions into the Bloom's and understand whether the higher order is being tested. So when we talk about analysis, evaluation, and creation, we automatically start dealing with the higher order. Application to an extent, but the analysis, evaluation, and creation definitely mean the higher order. And to ask a student to create something out which is different, thinking out of the box and create something different, is actually a very good idea. So you do not tell them to apply what they have learned. Don't tell them that, okay, charge or use what your current knowledge to create something. Just compose, just design, just invent. And you see the kind of creations you get. Our students are really possible, futuristic in what they do. Give them the opportunity, throw the world open to them. CBSE does not say subject enrichment is a handwritten project alone. Let them go beyond the book is what we are now into with the NEP. So planning assessment is not as difficult as it seems. While designing any assessment, a teacher must ask the following questions in the order in which they are given. Why am I assessing? What am I assessing? What assessment method should I use? How can I ensure the quality in this assessment process? And how can I use the information from this assessment process? So these are the same 5 W's that we've spoken about earlier. And with the NEP in place, we do know that there is something called a holistic report card mentioned in the NEP, which talks about the 3 domains of the Bloom's taxonomy. And the holistic report card talks about teacher assessment, quizzes, role plays, group work, portfolios, project-based and inquiry-based learning, progress in the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains, self-assessment, and peer assessment. Very rightly, as you all wise men and women mentioned in the earlier part of my session today. So when we talk about peer assessment, inquiry-based assessment, PBL, quiz, role play, self-assessment, group work, portfolio, and teacher assessment, it can be done offline, it can be done online, it can be done collaboratively. But competency-based scholastic assessment is like board exams for grade 10 and 12, existing board and entrance exams, will be reformed to eliminate the need for undertaking coaching classes. Board exams will be redesigned to encourage holistic development. Students will be able to choose from many of the subjects which they take board exams depending on their individualized interest. Board exams will be made easier because they will now be testing primarily core capacities or competencies and skills rather than rote learning. And any student who has been going to and making a basic effort in school class will be able to do well in the corresponding subject board exam without much additional effort. So to further eliminate the high stakes of the board exams, all students will be allowed to take board exams on up to 2 occasions during any given school year, one main exam, one exam for improvement if desired. Plus, the NEPs has given us the NAS, Parak, undertaking the performance assessment review, National Achievement Survey, analysis of knowledge, fomenting achievement of learning holistic development, outcomes of learning in the country, encouraging standard setting body under the MHRD. Even the Innovation Council will soon be set up in schools. So a lot of assessment patterns and norms and 21st century skills and guidelines will be taken up. This center will of the board will soon be guiding the states regarding assessment as well. So there are innate talent in every student which must be discovered, nurtured, fostered, and developed. And these talents may express themselves in the form of varying interests, dispositions, and capacities. And those students that show particularly strong interests and capacities in a given realm must be encouraged to pursue that realm beyond the general school curriculum. Teacher education will include methods for recognition and fostering of such student talent interest. And NCRT, NCTE will develop guidelines for them. B.Ed program will be redone. Then we spoke about the aim of assessment. We can see how the NEP deals with the aim of assessment and evaluation, assessment for and of learning. We also see higher order thinking skills to be assessed in the primary aim of assessment for learning. So analysis, critical thinking, conceptual clarity. This is what is going to be assessed now, henceforth. So I see Karuna ma'am's hand raised at this point in time. Yes, ma'am. Any way in which I can help you?
I just, if with your permission, I would like to just make that a statement that there have been a lot of challenges in the pandemic, but there's been a lot of liberty of assessment. We've been forced to assess children in creative ways, and I have personally enjoyed that a lot because I've seen my children blossoming and blooming, and through technology doing so tremendous collaborative creative work that in a normal school day we have not been able to assess. And I really do hope that none of this will work if the changes that you're talking about in the board exam, if they don't take place, if it's only in paper, then it will have, this work and training that we are doing will all be waste if that change doesn't come from the top and trickles down. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Karuna ma'am. And I do remember from my very first session in this Sahodaya, you had said we have tried bombs. Many of our creative strategies have bombed when we experimented in the pandemic. I do remember that phrase very, very clearly from what you had shared that day.
And worked also. Bombed,
yes,
but we didn't give up. We kept working.
That is the true spirit of a true leader. And we don't give up. We never give up. We have to always constantly try and motivate our students, teachers, stakeholders, parents, because no matter how many difficulties we as leaders may be facing in the pandemic, but ultimately the positivity that we carry forth to our workplaces and the lively spirit that we take to our workplace is what binds everybody into one thread and helps us make a positive environment at the workplace. So there is something more from Bloom's that I would love to share with you. And just as Uma Shankarji felt, we only look at the cognitive domains. So here we have the affective domain for you as well as the psychomotor domain. And let's quickly look at the cognitive. We spoke about recall, examine, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. These were all nouns in the previous Bloom's taxonomy, but now they've become all gerunds ending in ing. And when we look at the verbs, look at the action verbs and the assessment techniques on the left of the screen. So action verbs include define, duplicate, reproduce, list, recall, tell, underline. And the assessment strategies, definitions, facts, charts, lists, worksheets, quizzes, digital storyboards, sometimes even timelines. Examine or understand would include describe, discuss, expand, identify, locate, outline, report, restate, represent, edit. Assessment would include drawing, paraphrasing, peer teaching, summarizing, infographics. Application would include classify, demonstrate, calculate, illustrate, solve, practice, modify, restructure. And the assessment, model building, simulation, demonstration. Analysis, appraise, compare, contrast, differentiate, distinguish, examine, infer, sequence, defend. The assessment strategies, charts, plans, reviews, surveys, observations, case studies, troubleshooting. Evaluation, appraise, defend, dispute, critique, prioritize, editorialize, justify, rate, select, verify. Critique, case studies, self and peer assessment, recommendations, reports, reflections. And reflection, just as in pedagogical leadership, you've done reflections. It is very important to make teachers and students reflect. So students can be asked to do monthly or weekly reflections or fortnightly reflections. And it really does make a big difference in their learning. And when we talk about create, compose, design, improve, hypothesize, synthesize, we talk about portfolios and new products, game development. So we talk about the lower order to the higher order thinking skills, from the elements of performance to the course of learning outcomes. And when we talk of the affective domain, of the taxonomy, we once again have receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and internalizing. And you can see the words there, the description and the action verbs. So when you talk about receiving, it is awareness of new information and experiences. Acknowledge, ask, follow, identify, locate, listen. Responding, responds through active participation to new information and experiences. So answer, assist, develop, discuss, contribute, recite. Valuing, attach value or new information or worth to new experience. Explain, initiate, justify, propose, show concern for, respect, share. Organizing, incorporate new information or experience into existing value systems. And you have combine, compare, formulate, defend, etc. And the final one, internalizing. Complete integration of the information or experience resulting in new attitudes, beliefs, values, and behavior. So you have words like advocate, exemplify, propose, question, solve, etc. So while the cognitive domain had 6 levels, the affective domain has 5 levels. So let's move to the psychomotor domain. And in the psychomotor domain, you can see imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. And when we talk about imitation, it is observing, then repeating the action that has been demonstrated. So you mimic, replicate, copy, follow. Manipulation, repeat an action following instruction with some confidence and proficiency, which takes you to action verbs: assemble, build, complete, execute, operate, perform, use. Then we move to precision. Skills performed quickly, smoothly, accurately, with full confidence and proficiency. Achieve, accomplish, calibrate, excel, master, refine. Articulation, integration, well-developed skills for adaptation. Alter, combine, modify, revise, transfer, troubleshoot. Psychomotor, last one, the highest order in the psychomotor is naturalization. Mastering and internalizing skills for automatic high-quality performance. Compose, construct, create, design, refine, originate, and invent. And if you read what is written below the cognitive domain, it says the affective domain refers to attitudes, motivations, values of the discipline. And the psychomotor domain refers to kinesthetic, manual, motor skills. And the checklist of the learning outcomes I have already shared with you earlier. So I wish to stop sharing my screen at this point in time and want to open this particular flow for comment if you wish to comment at this point in time. You may simply unmute and comment. I absolutely have no objection. So somebody was unmuted.
Ma'am, it was simply wonderful. Thank you very much for giving me insight about, the two different, in fact, a domain like affective domain and Sacramento 11. Thank you so much, ma'am. But may I request you at the same time to share the slide, if it is feasible on your part?
You want me to reshare that page? Of course, I can reshare the page. You may take a screenshot of it if you want to.
Please, ma'am.
Just a moment. I need to go back to that before I share. I had changed my slide, so I'll just go back to it. Give me a moment. Yeah. I'll minimize it so you can take a complete screenshot. I believe you would be done with the screenshot by now.
Yeah, sir. Yes, ma'am. Done. Thank you.
All right. So there was one very interesting video which I had viewed regarding the state of assessment, which we have created in our own country. And I found this not in the Indian link, but it was a foreign link. So just give me a moment. I wish to share that with you. It was an interesting one. Actually, you know, when we go on to videos, we are forced to view some advertisements, though they are unwanted. So I'll just quickly share that video. And as educators, you would definitely like it. You know, we always think that the teacher is right, but this video changes the perspective of the teachers.
Your son is a failure. He's barely passing my class, and with grades like this, I'm just not sure what kind of future he's gonna have. What do you have to say for yourself? You're supposed to graduate this year.
Listen to Mr. Johnson. What kind of future do you think you're gonna have?
With all due respect, don't call me a failure. Failure is an event, not a person, in fact. And you talk about the future, Mr. Johnson, but you're not preparing us for that.
Excuse me?
Just listen to what I'm saying.
This should be good.
Would you agree that in the future, most careers will become automated?
Yeah, so?
So the people who succeed will have to be curious, innovative, with resilience to adapt to new changes.
What's your point?
My point is, the focus in this school is not on that. It is on regurgitating information and test taking, and that's just real. But in today's world, creativity is the most important leadership skill.
Oh, that's how you feel.
You don't have to believe me, but maybe you will believe the 1,500 executives who recently said creativity is the most important leadership skill. See, pretty soon, no one will be hired because of what they know, because who cares what you know or if you've memorized a fact? We've got Google and Siri for that. In the future, people will be hired because of what they can do with their knowledge. Can they creatively solve real-world problems, not just follow instructions or directions and bubble in multiple choice questions? So, Mom, that's why I'm stressed, because these robotic tasks we learn in school should stop. Because no one can do a robot's job better than a robot. Billionaire founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma, said that we should not compete with artificial intelligence, but instead focus on developing unique human intelligence. Mr. Johnson, drills are for teeth, not the human mind. So these repetitive knowledge-based tasks we must leave behind. Or in the future, you're gonna find a lot of people graduating out of your class right into the unemployment line. See, many top companies today don't look at grades. Mom, that old way is expiring. Google has been quoted as saying GPAs are worthless criteria for hiring. Founder of Tesla, Elon Musk, agrees. So I say this with unease and sorrow. If you continue to teach today as you taught yesterday, then you rob us students of tomorrow. Mr. Johnson, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Sometimes sitting in your class is tough. I'm constantly thinking, if I don't look up at the clock, maybe it'll speed up. So I listen to you do my work and pay attention, feeling like an hour had to have gone by, but it was only 3 minutes. So if you wonder why we're bored in class, look, you wanna get a kid to hate reading? Give them this, a school textbook. And some people think it's our fault, and that hurts me. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And to that I say no. Firstly, you can put salt in that horse's hay and make him thirsty. And if you bring joy in your classroom, you can make any bad student nerdy. As he or she discovers the beauty of truly learning. Mr. Johnson, I mean no disrespect. You have the most important job on this planet. You build, create, and save lives. But if you really care about my future, like you say, then you have to fully commit and ask yourself honestly, how do I prepare a child for a future that doesn't yet exist? Here's a hint. The answer is not found in this. It's using this and this. See, in the future, we will need more passion and compassion. People with inspired hearts and wisdom to uplift this planet. And Mom, I love you, but can I be real?
Go ahead.
You want to know one of the biggest factors for childhood success? It's not IQ. It's family meals. And we haven't had one of those in a while. See, I know sometimes you don't feel proud, because I may not be a straight A student, but I'm not stupid. These tests may be 70% of my grade, but they're 0% of my future. But don't worry, I'll pass this class and get through this. But I need you to give me the space I need to be me and live true. Because the best feeling in the world is that your own parents get you. There's a passage in a book called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And if you don't mind, I'd love to share it with you.
Go ahead.
See, he says, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they do not belong to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow. So, Mom, I'd appreciate it if you give me the love that I need to pursue my dreams. See, if we are to succeed, all three of us need behavior change on all fronts. We talk about the future, but the future is now, and it is created now by all of us.
I've never heard you speak like that before.
Yeah, I didn't know.
But I'm going to reach out to administration and try to change some things. You have my word.
So I think this spoke a lot for itself, and it told us, it spoke volumes while it told us what situation we are in right now. It also summed up assessment, the need for assessment, the challenges we are facing as educators in the field of assessment, and what we need to do to come out of this kind of a situation. So let me reshare my screen once again. And there was some very nice incidents I wished to share with you. I just need a moment because while shifting slides, a little of the thing has moved. Just give me a moment. So have you been reading the CBSE latest circulars on assessments and the kind of report cards and holistic assessment? And all right. So there is this lovely quote which I wish to share with you before I wind up with today's session. And I'll also then invite you to share your views. So the key to assessment is the word itself. It comes from the Latin verb isidia, to sit beside. We are not ranking here. We are sitting beside a piece of writing, observing its qualities. We are finding a common language to talk about those qualities. And it's by Barry Lane. And of course, this kind of an assessment is what we do. And we need to move to this. So it's a shift from the rote learning, memorization, to a complete competency-based assessment. So with this, I would like to leave the floor open to a lot of comment and interaction from each and every one of you. Please use this platform to express your views. Yes, Anil Kumar, sir. Anil Kumar Sinhaji. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you unmuted Anil Kumar Sinhaji, probably wanted to say something. Okay, Uma Shankar sir has raised a hand in any case. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, let me return my wholehearted thanks for this thought-provoking video, which can really transform the life and the thought process of a person, a learner, and who wishes to pursue. Actually, what I believe that, we have to just think as an educator to teach a child on the subject, understanding the limits, aspirations, speed, style, and exploring the inbuilt quality and skills so that we can in fact provide quality education which is based on employable skills. That is employability skills, that is 21st century skills. So we need to just adopt transformative leadership style. We have to just be kind of hunar or hausla or himmat. Hunarmand लोगों को बनाना है. Even if we don't actually, I personally don't believe in a kind of an ornamental degree and diploma कि MA पास हैं, डबल MA है, ट्रिपल MA है. एक जमाना अभी भी है, पहले भी था. गांव घर में देखते हैं लोग डबल MA, ट्रिपल MA कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं because they are not well skilled. And our government has already launched so many programs, the Skills India. So we have to see that the Skills India mission is also there. So we need to, in fact, better employ a person who can really do carpentry, work like a blacksmith, to be a productive member of the society and the community, and to, in fact, help us grow economically. So we have to understand the ecosystem, knowledge ecosystem. We have to understand how we are going to make the children that much adept, that much, I would say, competent, so that their skills can be put into use. That is why we have different kinds of vocational streams, which CBSE has already given us. So we should have side by side vocational streams so that the children can be in a position to earn their livelihood based on their inbuilt skills. चाहे वो कारपेंटर बन जाए, चाहे वो जोमेटो का स्टाफ बन जाए, चाहे वो रिसेप्शनिस्ट बन जाए, चाहे वो अच्छा स्पीकर बन जाए. As you know that multiple intelligence, or that is you can say all multiple intelligences, and they are also in fact based on different kinds of quality. को अच्छा writing में है, he can become a good writer. कुछ अच्छा, if suppose there is a good child, there is a student who is very good at speaking, he can be a wakil, he can be a lawyer, he can be a pleader, he can be a teacher, he can be a speaker, he can be. Okay, so my point is that we have to see, or we have to focus on the inbuilt skills, the skills which can really, in fact, help the children explore and realize that is the actual potential based on the passion, compassion, care, commitment, and creation in the long run. That is really very important. Thank you very much for this beautiful slide.
With collaboration, sir. And very rightly put, the NEP is taking us forward in that way. So we need to proceed and follow the guidelines set by the NEP.
Exactly.
All right.
Employability
All right.
skills will be there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. That was so kind of you. Do I see any other hand raised? Or people have left the meeting? Mamta ma'am, would you want to share your opinion? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Very good evening, ma'am.
Good
What I
evening.
want to share with you, ma'am, it's quite personal. In last session also, in your last session, I was sitting just after reading a due to someone who is very close, just living beside me. And just after I bade him adieu, I joined your session, ma'am. It's so nice, so fortunate I find myself that I am listening to you. You are such a good orator. I find myself very much fortunate. I am quite attentively listening to it, and I know that it will be quite beneficial for my teachers, my students, and all around the people we are.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. It is really very humbling to know that something that I speak leaves a very deep impact on someone as wise and experienced as you are.
You have such a good command over the topic, ma'am. It goes just inside. And no question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I see Shiv Shankar Yadav ji having raised his hand and switched on his video. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I myself feel rather it is quite obvious also that everything is now streamlined with this platform discussing all the our professional issues. Everything was in simplest way I can say that organized. Things are organized, whether it is evaluation, Bloom's taxonomy, or other assessment aspects. Everything is streamlined. I hope I am energized enough to be fair enough in the profession. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. That was truly an honor. So I still feel there's nothing coming in the chat, so people seem to have started leaving. The attendance has come. Eliza ma'am says it's an eye-opening video that a student had the courage to speak out, but children don't really do that. Thank you so much, Eliza ma'am, for the next message also in the chat. So, Anil Kumar Sinha ji, have you unmuted? Are you wanting to speak? क्या आप कुछ बोलना चाह रहे हैं?
And your session was very fine, and everything I listened very carefully. And regarding your assessment, actually, what model you just discussed, that is very much fruitful for the student. And we have to think how much student in what way understand. And time to time we have to take the feedback. Feedback-based assessment should be there. So that I think your session was really very fruitful to all the participant, attendee. That's all, ma'am. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir. I see Karuna ma'am having written something in the chat as well as her hand is raised. So yes, Karuna ma'am, and her video is also on. So when someone switches on the video, there's a spark and a sprinkle in my eyes. Yes, ma'am.
Khyati ma'am, I would like to thank you not only for this session, but for the previous sessions also. Each one of them was excellent, as Mamta ma'am has rightly expressed, and very, it's learning, eye-opening, thought-provoking, and also resonating with some of the things that we are doing here in Bokaro. And so I want to thank you first for coming, to our Sahodaya and leading us in this way. And I was just curious, whether in your school you have creative ways of assessing children, and whether it is accepted by parents.
Yes, ma'am. We do follow the NEP and the CBSE guidelines completely to the T. So when we are assessing in a variety of ways, we need not tell them explicitly that it's going to be this particular kind of assessment. It's going to be a multiple assessment. So when we, in each subject, set out the instructions or the guidelines for the multiple assessment, we know we are covering multiple intelligences in that assessment. And with that, in particularly in my subject, I do give the students a lot of leeway. So I will give them an option of choosing multiple options of the MI, and they can mix and match the ones they choose to do. So if I say create a game, I know I'm testing the higher order. And with the creation of the game, it's going to be something that is subject-based. And in the process of creating a game, the kind of skills they will be using, because they will not obviously be able to pick up a subject-based game from the net and give it to me. So a lot of higher order thinking is going to go into it. And the rubric is also shared in advance with the students. And therefore, they know what they are in the process of doing. However, as a teacher, we know the learning outcomes, we know the learning objectives, and we definitely do share the outcomes. The outcomes are always shared with the students. So they are more or less familiar with what they are in for. I think that
Thank you,
answers your
ma'am,
question.
Yes, thank you for sharing that.
So I think somebody has raised her hand. No, Karuna ma'am lowered her hand. Okay. So I think there is no more hand raised. I see Father Varghese in the video.
Yes, Father is there.
He's happily smiling. So would you want to share something?
Father is waiting for me first to speak, ma'am. And then he would speak.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah. Here I am once again, our respected ma'am, Khyati Dwarkadas. I find myself so privileged, in fact, summing up everyone's learning experience of today and the previous days. Whenever we listen to you, it is so soothing and insightful listening to you. It is not only listening, but it is listening with learning. And you are really wonderful, and you know the ways, so wonderful ways of expressing your knowledge and your experiences with which you enlighten all of us in today's 2 hours of session. And ma'am, I'm so grateful for every moment we have spent with you and how the time has passed. I believe everyone will say we did not realize how the almost 2 hours have passed by listening to you. And of course, it was a bit of technical as well as elaborative explanation to two topics, in fact, remolded structure of assessment and the Bloom taxonomy. Not so easy to explain, but you made it so easy for us to understand, and how to go about you have taught us. And it was really insightful listening to you, how to assess and whom to assess and where to assess and how and what and where. So it is all 5W was interesting listening to you. You are really knowledgeable, and we are lucky to get you with the effort of our COE partner and Father Reggie. I would really give a big thanks to you that he really tried hard to get you as our resource person for Bokaro Sahodaya. And thereafter, I also thank Dr. A.S. Gangwar sir, though he is silently listening to all the resource person, and in fact you now also he is there behind the curtain, but he is very much with us, with all of us. And
Yes, ma'am.
yes,
Sister
you are there. I know, sir. I know without your cooperation and guidance, it is not being successful. We cannot be successful without your guidance. And yes, Father Reggie, uh, in fact, he wishes to speak to you for you, in fact, today. And so he asked me to first you express and then I would express. So it is fine, Father is ready to be here. And moreover, I am really delighted and grateful to us, our COE. We had a glimpse of him on this virtual platform, and we are lucky to in fact see to him, and we responded to him. It was really a golden chance for all of us. So once again, thanks to each and every principal, learned and experienced individual participants around this virtual platform. And I feel myself so privileged that I have been asked to deliver vote of thanks, few words of appreciation almost every day. And thank you, ma'am, and wish you all the best. So I invite Father Varghese now to come up.
Thank you so much, Sister Kamla. Thank you so much, Sister Kamla. That was truly a very big honor. And over to you, Father Varghese.
Thank you, sister. Actually, I was worried when this particular training was supposed to be done. No, it's not easy because it came in the month of October, and November, December was totally all the educators fixed with the examination. So nobody was ready for a training. At that time, we felt that this is unwarrantedly and unnecessary put upon us because this is a pressure, no, where because principals are already loaded with pressure. It's very difficult for us to take time and ponder upon because we are already into the training process for last 1.5 years. We are going through a lot of trainings, COE as well as other different platforms. So we thought it a little bit a pressure upon us unwarranted. But now I feel that this if such type of platforms were not being initiated, then there would have been a lot of gaps in between the what CBSE wants and what we have to go in the ground reality. And at that time, I was totally confused with whom to invite as a resource person. At that time, Tarun sir gave me your name and one more name and said that you just contact them and they will give other names also. In that way, I am lucky to have your name, and you have given me a big list of training schedules or topics which we can go through. I browse through it and try to select which all topics will be most appropriate for the principles out here and which we will be lacking with that to be consolidated. And you also helped me in finding out the apt topic. And for last 3 sessions, you know, see, it was marvelous. We have gone through many sessions, but making it more communicative. And see, you might be feeling that all are not responding. Okay, or maybe not responding, but you made us talk, make people to talk to come up with the ideas and which all areas we lagged, that you try to point it out and try to fill that gap. And that is what we required, and wonderful. And I have a request, even though you are ending up with this session. Now you requested us to be with us for the last two sessions as a
Attendee, yes.
attendee. It's a privilege for us also, because you want to be a part of our Sahodaya. So this relationship should not end up with here, and we want what all good things which you have, you can share it with us, because here our Sahodaya, let me tell you, madam, that we are so interrelated. We have no jealousy about professional jealousy. We are so professionally entangled and try to help out each other's problem and try to work out monthly events in such a way that in that professional fight with each other, we try to professionally show our maturity, and that is the best part of our Sahodaya. And I give all credit to Gangwar sir and all other vice presidents and all other members, executive members, and all the members, those who are working together as a one particular tree and different branches. And we are really able to do spectacular work in this particular Bokaro region. So if you can really help out us in some of the areas which we may have to grow, and we may able to do a little more to our children, then in that area you can just give us some inputs. And we would like you to come. Now it's online mode. When it is over, sometime when you are free and we can gather together, you can come and give us some hands-on to some of the things what we have discussed over here. So it will be great privilege for us at that time if you come and specifically come and help out to reshape the gaps which we have left out or not able to reach. So I put my folded hands before you and give you all my appreciation and thanks at this moment to accept our invitation. I know that it is not a one-time affair for you. You are totally engaged with. I know that because of you only Tarun sir came. Otherwise, he normally skip. Because of you, both the day he want to listen. And I really thank him also from the bottom of my heart that he really has taken pain to really integrate this Patna region. So otherwise, this Patna region is always known for its zombiness, and it is considered as a zombie zone. So now it has become more active, and all are so aware, so conscious about their responsibility, and they are doing very nicely under his leadership. I thank him also. I thank my president of Sahodaya, Gangwar sir, because of him only these things are being shaped or given a shape. He is behind us and always give us valuable tips where we come short of. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank my deputy, Sister Kamla, because every time a problem, she is there to come up with a solution. So she is also a wonderful administrator, as a wonderful human being. And so I thank her for taking the lead to in all these sessions to give vote of thanks, as well as take her role to give suggestions and solve it. I like to thank our today's moderator,
Shailaja ma'am.
Shailaja madam. Shailaja madam is principal of Sri Ayyappa secondary school. She has taken that particular task to welcome each and every participant as well as the dignitaries over here. So I thank her also for accepting that particular responsibility. I thank all my co-educators who are being with us and working to grow in this particular pandemic. We are privileged to come together in this mode because this is the only mode we are able to come together and fortunately we are able to know each other because of this. So that is a great thing. Thank God that he is moderating the entire thing in such a wonderful way. Thank you all once again.
Father, if I may just comment on what you just said, it was truly humbling and truly an honor to hear that much appreciation from you as a not only as Father Reji, but also as DTC Bokaro. Let me just tell you that today Tarun sir's guest appearance was not because of me, but solely because of DTC Bokaro. It was a surprise for me as well to spot him there. Normally, because I keep my session in Bokaro interactive, I see the participant list and I happen to spot him there. So it was a true surprise for me. Apparently, if you are all on Telegram T1 group of the Patna region, you will see photographs of some of you there, which Tarun sir seems to have put up after his visit to your session. So I think you're in the news in Patna region right now. So congratulations to this Radhakrishnan Sahodaya school complex. And this Bokaro Sahodaya, where I have taken 3 trainings as of now, has I really found all of you to be a very well knitted, bound and bonded family. So that's why I requested you, Father, for the last 2 sessions to simply attend and probably gain something from that. So thank you very much for accepting and agreeing to let me into that one little thing from your end. It's truly an honor to be a part of your Sahodaya. Probably whenever you want me, Father, online, I am always available for all of you. Just message and wherever convenient, whenever convenient, whatever topic you choose, Father, not only from the list I have shared, but from any other topic of your choice, please feel free to message. If possible, I will always be there with you.
Sure.
And thank you very much, Gangwar sir, for you've not been talking to me at all, but the amount of interaction and behind the scenes effort that we see from your end and the appreciation that I hear from all members of the Sahodaya for you every time I conduct a session, that means there is a big spark that is lighting the Sahodaya, and the lead that the leader takes speaks volumes in the followers. So congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you very much for being with us for these 3 days with us. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you all. So shall we end the meeting?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sister Kamla, for telling me that. Thank you very much. It's been my true pleasure. Thank you for filling the chat box as well. See you. Whenever you wish to have me, please just let me know. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank
Wish
you.
you all a wonderful evening.
Wonderful and great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
थैंक यू हो गया, मीटिंग पार्टिसिपेट्स, चलिए हो गया, और क्या चाहिए।